The courtroom is dead silent. Every eye is fixed on Kody Brown, who sits frozen in his seat, while the judge reviews a file thicker than anyone expected. One revelation is about to tear this family apart, and it's not what anyone saw coming. How did a family built on love and faith end up in a courtroom facing accusations that could destroy everything? Stay with me, because what happens next will shock you and change the way you see this family forever. Make sure you watch until the very end, because every word, every confession, every secret matters, and you'll want to decide for yourself who's telling the truth. The morning sunlight filters through the tall courthouse windows, casting long shadows across the polished wood floors. The air smells faintly of coffee and old paper, mingling with the tension that hangs thick enough to touch. Kody sits with his hands clasped tightly, his knuckles white, as Meri leans slightly forward, whispering encouragement that doesn't quite reach the fear in her eyes. Across the aisle, Christine fidgets with a pen, tapping it nervously against the table, while Janelle's expression is carefully controlled, a mask of calm hiding a storm beneath. Robyn's hands are folded in her lap, but her fingers tremble, betraying the anxiety she refuses to admit. The judge's gavel pounds once, sharp, cutting through the murmurs of the crowded courtroom. All rise, the bailiff commands. Everyone stands, the echo of footsteps against the marble floor amplifying the weight of what is about to happen. As the judge settles, the silence is almost unbearable. The case at hand, allegations of financial mismanagement and deceit that could fracture the already fragile structure of this plural family. The opening statements are crisp, but each word lands like a hammer, emphasizing betrayals that have festered behind closed doors for years. Kody's attorney speaks first, his tone calm but firm, attempting to set the narrative. The family's finances were transparent, every decision made with care. But the opposing counsel has other plans. They bring up ledgers, emails, and a trail of transactions that suggest something far more insidious. Christine leans back in her chair, biting her lip, recalling moments from the past year, whispered conversations, secrets shared in confidence, and trust that feels shattered. The camera of the courtroom documentary captures every twitch, every raised eyebrow, every small movement that speaks volumes louder than words. Janelle closes her eyes briefly, recalling nights spent worrying about the family's reputation, about how quickly things can spiral beyond control. Attention is electric. Even the court reporter pauses to steady her hands. The first witness is called, a financial advisor who has worked with the family for years. His testimony begins innocuously enough, detailing routine investments and expenditures. But then, a pause, a hesitation, a subtle shift in tone. He reveals an off-record transfer that wasn't properly documented, hinting at favoritism, perhaps even hidden agendas. The courtroom exhales collectively, the atmosphere now charged with uncertainty. You won't believe what happens next. It's about to get even more intense. Meri shifts uncomfortably in her seat, as memories of heated arguments resurface. Arguments over priorities, over fairness, over trust. Kody glances at her, offering a small, almost imperceptible nod, an attempt at reassurance that doesn't quite reach the storm brewing in everyone's mind. Robyn rises for the first time, her voice soft but determined, recounting moments of confusion and concern over unexplained withdrawals. Her words hang in the air, each syllable landing with weight, turning every head in the courtroom. Then Christine steps forward. Her voice is steady but carries a simmering edge, recounting private conversations she hoped would never be revealed. I trusted that what we shared in confidence would remain between us, she says, eyes glinting with unshed tears, but those lines were crossed. The judge leans forward slightly, sensing the gravity of what is being revealed. Janelle grips the edge of the table, the veins in her neck standing out as tension builds to a crescendo. Outside the courtroom, the media has already caught wind of the drama. Cameras flash as supporters and critics alike gather. Each with a story, each eager for a piece of the unraveling narrative. Inside, Kody tries to steady himself, taking a deep breath, aware that each revelation chips away at the foundation he has spent decades building. The next testimony could change everything. Stay tuned, because you'll not see this coming. A session closes with the arrival of a key document, a ledger marked with questionable entries and annotations in unfamiliar handwriting. The courtroom buzzes with whispers, and even the judge's expression betrays curiosity. As the gavel strikes to adjourn for the day, eyes remain locked on Kody and his wives, the tension unresolved, the secrets barely beginning to surface. Everyone leaves the room with a sense of foreboding, knowing that the story is far from over. The camera lingers on Kody's face, capturing the quiet dread, the uncertainty, the battle that is only just beginning. The courtroom opens the next morning under a heavy gray sky that seems to press down on the building, as if the weather itself senses the tension within. And Kody Brown walks in slowly, shoulders squared, but his jaw tight, eyes scanning the room with a mixture of determination and dread, while Meri trails behind him, her hands clasped nervously. Glancing at the rows of spectators and cameras, a shiver of anticipation running down her spine. Christine takes a deep breath, letting it out in a slow, controlled exhale, forcing herself to maintain the composure she's desperately clinging to, as memories of whispered accusations and family confrontations replay in her mind like a looping nightmare. And Janelle sits upright, every muscle tense, her gaze fixed on the judge, knowing that the coming hours could change the trajectory of the family forever. While Robyn quietly reviews notes she scribbled the night before, trying to remember every detail she might need to defend herself and the family, feeling the weight of responsibility like a stone in her chest, because nothing in this courtroom will allow mistakes, and a single misstep could be catastrophic. The bailiff announces the continuation of proceedings, and the judge, a stern figure with eyes that miss nothing, gestures for the first witness to approach, a former family confidant whose testimony has been requested to shed light on private family meetings that allegedly involved coercion and threats. And as the witness stands, her hands shaking slightly, the entire room leans forward in anticipation, the silence so thick it feels almost suffocating. Because everyone knows what is at stake, yet no one can predict the direction this testimony will take, and the tension is amplified by the subtle flicker of anxiety in Kody's eyes, the way Meri's fingers twist together tightly. Christine's sharp inhale, Janelle's slight tap of her foot against the polished floor, and Robyn's barely audible whisper to herself that she can handle this, that she must. The witness begins slowly, recounting late-night conversations, moments when financial decisions were made under the guise of transparency. But, as she describes in hushed tones, certain directives were issued with pressure and expectation, implying that not all members were given equal say. And, as she narrates, the camera pans across Kody's face, the faint lines of worry etched deeper with each word, while Meri's lip trembles as she fights to hold back emotion. Christine's eyes narrow in disbelief and anger. Janelle's hands clench into fists under the table, and Robyn's breath hitches, caught between shock and the urge to intervene. And just when you think the tension couldn't rise any higher, a startling revelation hits the room. a document she slides onto the stand, one that contradicts every previous statement about family finances, forcing the court to pause in stunned silence and leaving every spectator wondering how Kody will respond. Kody rises slowly, clearing his throat, the room holding its collective breath as he addresses the accusations, his voice measured but carrying a tremor of vulnerability. "I assure you, nothing was hidden with malicious intent," he says. Yet the words sound fragile, almost implausible, against the mounting evidence. While Christine interrupts with a pointed question that slices through the courtroom like a scalpel. "Then explain why these entries don't match our accounts, Kody. Why were funds transferred without my knowledge?" And the air thickens with tension, the murmur of spectators rising to a hum, and the judge leans forward, eyes fixed on Kody, waiting for clarity that seems increasingly elusive. While Meri squeezes her hands together, the knuckles white, silently pleading for the truth to surface before irreparable damage is done. Janelle exhales sharply through her nose, a sign of frustration she can no longer contain, and Robyn shifts uncomfortably, aware that every moment in this courtroom is being dissected, broadcast, and judged, not just legally, but morally, socially, emotionally. The cross-examination intensifies, the opposing counsel pressing hard, producing emails, text messages, and notes that reveal discrepancies in accounts, moments when promises were made and broken, decisions taken without full transparency. And with every piece of evidence presented, Kody's defenses are chipped away, leaving him exposed and vulnerable. While each wife reacts differently, Christine with sharp words and pointed accusations, Meri with quiet anguish and disbelief, Janelle with controlled anger, Robyn with a mix of confusion and protective instinct, and the courtroom audience is drawn deeper into the unfolding drama, feeling every heartbeat, every pause, every subtle flicker of doubt and betrayal. Then comes a turning point, the testimony of the family's accountant, a meticulous professional with an unwavering demeanor, who details a pattern of unrecorded withdrawals, conflicting statements, and red flags that paint a picture of manipulation and favoritism. And as the accountant explains the intricacies of the financial records, the tension in the room rises to a nearly unbearable level, because what was once assumed to be innocent oversight now looks deliberate, and Kody shifts in his seat, swallowing hard while Meri's eyes well up. Christine leans forward, voice low but cutting. "This isn't oversight, Kody. This is deception." Janelle's jaw tightens, and Robyn grips her notes like a lifeline. Realizing that defending the family will require more than explanation, it will require revelation, confession, and possibly sacrifice. And you might think the situation can't escalate further, but the next witness brings a bombshell that changes the course of the trial, leaving everyone gasping and questioning every relationship, every motive, every trust that has been built over years. The witness recounts private conversations where Kody allegedly pressured certain wives to approve financial decisions under duress, creating tension and resentment. And as the words hang in the air, the wives' faces reflect a cascade of emotions: shock, betrayal, hurt, anger, and confusion. While Kody's posture stiffens, Meri's hands tremble as she clasps them tighter. Christine's eyes glimmer with tears she refuses to shed. Janelle bites her lip to contain a sigh of frustration, and Robyn swallows hard, realizing the implications of what has been revealed. And the courtroom itself seems to shrink, every sound amplified, every glance magnified, because secrets that were long buried are now being exposed to the harsh light of scrutiny. And the narrative unfolds like a tightly wound thriller, with shifting alliances, whispered confrontations, and emotional breakdowns punctuating the testimony. The legal teams go back and forth, question and counter-question, each word chosen deliberately to sway perception, to uncover hidden truths. And as the day progresses, fatigue and emotion intertwine, leaving the Brown family both physically and emotionally exhausted. And yet, they must persevere, because the outcome could redefine not just their financial standing, but the trust, love, and structure of the family itself. And as the final moments of this session approach, a previously undisclosed recording is played, revealing private discussions that no one expected to hear, and it sets the stage for a confrontation that will shake the courtroom and the family to its very core. As the gavel strikes to adjourn, the wives exchange glances that speak volumes. Kody's shoulders slump under the weight of the revelations. The camera lingers on their expressions, a mixture of fear, uncertainty, and anticipation. Because what happens next in Session 3 will test loyalties, uncover deeper betrayals, and reveal truths that could change everything, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats, wondering who can be trusted, what will come to light, and whether the bonds of this family will survive the courtroom storm that is only just beginning. The courtroom opens to an electric silence, heavier than before, as Kody Brown takes his seat, the weight of yesterday's revelations pressing down on him like a physical force. And Meri trails in slowly, her eyes flicking to the gallery, where cameras are poised to capture every reaction, while Christine leans forward, her hands folded but tense, nails digging lightly into her palms, reflecting the storm of emotions swirling inside her. And Janelle sits rigid, every muscle coiled, ready to react to whatever truth will surface, while Robyn's notebook is open, pen poised, but her mind races faster than her hand can keep up. Because the family's secrets, the financial discrepancies, and the whispered betrayals are now spilling into public view, and the audience can feel the tension like static electricity in the air. The judge calls the session to order, his gavel striking sharply, commanding immediate silence, and the first witness, a longtime family friend who has witnessed both the private and public sides of the Browns' life, steps forward. Her voice initially calm, measured, as she recounts small incidents, casual conversations over dinners, financial discussions supposedly meant to include all family members, and subtle manipulations that seemed innocent at the time, but in hindsight, cast shadows of doubt over past decisions. And as she describes the interactions, the wives' faces betray flashes of anger, hurt, and disbelief, their expressions a kaleidoscope of emotional tension, while Kody's jaw tightens, his hands pressed against the edge of the table, trying to ground himself amidst the rising storm. And the courtroom audience leans forward collectively, drawn into the unfolding drama, sensing the fragility of the family and the gravity of each revelation, because this is more than just a legal battle. It is a test of loyalty, trust, and the very foundation upon which their lives have been built. As the witness continues, she mentions a private dinner where tensions erupted, and Christine's sharp intake of breath cuts through the room, her eyes narrowing, as she recalls being left out of critical decisions, feeling manipulated and silenced, while Meri swallows hard, her throat tight, remembering the quiet arguments with Kody late at night, the whispered confessions of worry and fear, and Janelle's posture stiffens, anger bubbling beneath the surface. Because the omissions and secrecy now exposed in the courtroom feel like betrayal. And Robyn's voice trembles slightly as she recalls defending Kody's actions to others, only to realize she was unknowingly complicit. And you might think the tension can't escalate further, but the next revelation will shock everyone and change the course of this trial dramatically, leaving viewers holding their breath in disbelief. The opposing counsel presents emails and text messages, some months old, revealing conversations that contradict previous testimonies, messages that suggest Kody may have knowingly withheld information from certain wives, directing resources in ways that favored some over others. And as these documents are read aloud, the courtroom reacts. Christine slaps a hand to her forehead, eyes wide in disbelief. Meri bites her lip, trembling. Janelle's fingers drum against the table, and Robyn's breath hitches, caught in the tidal wave of emotion, while Kody shifts uncomfortably, the heat rising to his face, knowing that every word spoken chips away at the image he has tried to maintain, the careful balance of love, leadership, and fairness now crumbling under scrutiny. The judge pauses, surveying the scene, noting the palpable tension, before asking Kody to explain the discrepancies, his voice firm but patient, urging clarity. And Kody rises slowly, hands pressed against the table, taking a deep breath, his voice slightly unsteady as he begins to recount decisions he made with intentions of fairness, only to be interrupted by Christine's piercing question. Fairness? How can you call this fairness, when some of us were kept in the dark while others were given priority? And the words cut through the room like a knife, forcing a hush over the gallery. The gravity of accusation now hitting harder than any financial ledger ever could, while Meri flinches at the sharpness in Christine's tone. Janelle's jaw tightens, Robyn swallows hard, and Kody's eyes flicker, betraying a mixture of guilt, frustration, and desperation. Realizing that defending actions that were once private and personal is now impossible under the scrutiny of the courtroom. The cross-examination continues, with the opposing counsel probing deeper, each question more pointed than the last, revealing subtle patterns of favoritism, private directives, and conversations where Kody allegedly influenced certain wives to approve financial moves that weren't fully disclosed. And the emotional weight is almost unbearable because the audience can see the ripple effects of these choices. Meri's quiet anguish, Christine's controlled fury, Janelle's simmering frustration, Robyn's conflicted loyalty, and Kody's struggle to maintain composure amidst mounting accusations. The tension peaks when a new witness is called, a former family assistant who worked closely with Kody for years, who begins recounting conversations overheard, actions taken in private, and moments where promises were broken, revealing a layer of manipulation that no one anticipated. And as her words unfold, the courtroom collectively gasps. The wives' reactions a mirror of shock, betrayal, and disbelief. Christine's eyes glistening with unshed tears. Meri trembling. Janelle leaning forward, fists clenched under the table, and Robyn biting her lip to hold back emotion, while Kody sits frozen, his defenses crumbling under the weight of public scrutiny. And just when it seems the session can't possibly get more intense, the assistant drops a bombshell revelation about a hidden agreement between certain family members that could redefine who holds influence and power, leaving the judge, the courtroom, and the family in stunned silence. Strong / Bree / Bree. The atmosphere shifts palpably, a mix of suspense and fear as Kody rises to respond, his voice now steadier but carrying an undercurrent of desperation, explaining intentions, context, and past misunderstandings, trying to bridge the chasm between accusation and truth. While Christine challenges every word, her tone rising with frustration and hurt, Meri pleads softly for understanding, her voice cracking. Janelle interjects with sharp logic and pointed criticism. Robyn navigates her own internal conflict, and the courtroom becomes a theater of human emotion, raw, unfiltered, and gripping. A back and forth escalates, each side revealing more than they may have intended, the family's vulnerabilities exposed like never before, and the audience feels the emotional roller coaster as allegiances shift, secrets surface, and trust erodes with every passing moment. And as the session nears its climax, a confidential audio recording is played, capturing private conversations that no one anticipated would be brought into the light, revealing intentions, fears, and conflicts that have been simmering for years, and leaving everyone in the courtroom reeling with disbelief and anticipation for what comes next. Kody's expression hardens, knowing this evidence could either vindicate or condemn him. Meri's hands tremble. Christine's face is pale. Janelle's posture rigid. Robyn's eyes widen in shock, and the judge pauses, allowing the weight of the revelation to sink in, the silence stretching uncomfortably, before instructing a brief recess to let emotions settle, the wives exchanging glances that speak volumes, Kody running a hand through his hair in frustration, and the camera capturing every fleeting emotion, every flicker of doubt, every hint of fear and resolve, because the story is far from over. And the next session will dive deeper into secrets, betrayals, and emotional confrontations that will leave viewers on the edge of their seats, desperate to see how this family navigates the treacherous waters of truth, trust, and love amidst the harsh glare of the courtroom spotlight. The courtroom is tense beyond words as the doors swing open, letting in a thin sliver of morning. Light that does little to illuminate the weight pressing down on Kody Brown, who walks to his seat with measured steps, his expression tight, shoulders hunched as if bracing for the storm he knows is coming, while Meri trails behind him, eyes darting nervously to the crowded gallery and flashing cameras, trying to mask the whirlwind of fear and anticipation swirling inside her. And Christine takes her seat with a controlled exhale, her fingers tapping lightly against the table, betraying her frustration and anxiety. Janelle sits with a calculated calm, though every muscle is coiled, ready to spring into confrontation. And Robyn's notebook is open, but her hand shakes slightly as she scribbles notes, struggling to process the weight of what has already been revealed and what she fears will surface next. Because the family's secrets are no longer confined to whispers and private meetings. The judge enters, his presence commanding, gavel in hand, calling the session to order, and immediately the first witness is called, a longtime friend who has observed the family's dynamics over years, a person who has witnessed both private disputes and public facades. And as she rises, her hands clutching a folder of evidence, the room seems to hold its breath, sensing that the truth about to emerge will leave no one untouched. She begins recounting events that, at first glance, seem minor. Late-night phone calls, hushed discussions in dimly lit rooms, subtle favors exchanged, and quietly withheld information. But as she narrates, the implications grow more serious, painting a picture of manipulation, pressure, and fractured trust, and the wives react vividly. Christine's jaw tightens, eyes narrowing as memories of being excluded surface. Meri bites her lip, hands twisting in her lap, the familiar ache of betrayal returning. Janelle exhales sharply, the subtle clenching of her fists betraying the storm inside. Robyn swallows hard, her mind racing to reconcile loyalty to her husband with the mounting evidence of mismanagement and secrecy. And Kody shifts in his seat, the weight of scrutiny pressing down, knowing that explanations alone may not mend the damage now surfacing. Because every eye in the courtroom is watching, every word amplified, and every pause interpreted as guilt or innocence. As the witness continues, she unveils emails and texts that contradict prior statements, revealing moments where Kody allegedly coerced certain wives to approve financial decisions under the guise of transparency. creating tension and resentment among those left uninformed. And just when it seems the drama cannot intensify further, she slides a folder across the stand, containing handwritten notes and recordings that suggest deliberate deception, leaving the room stunned and viewers gripping the edge of their seats. The opposing counsel seizes the opportunity, pressing questions with surgical precision, dissecting each document, each word, exposing inconsistencies and subtle manipulations that shake the family's foundation. And the emotional weight is palpable. Christine rises, voice trembling but cutting. "How could you decide without us? How could you choose some over others and expect loyalty?" Meri swallows hard, whispering, "I trusted you." Her words almost lost beneath the tension. While Janelle's eyes flash with frustration, Robyn's hands tremble as she grips her notes for courage, and Kody's face hardens, realizing the defense may no longer be enough to hold the cracks together. The witness then recounts a private dinner where an argument erupted, voices raised in frustration, feelings of betrayal laid bare, and the vivid retelling exposes hidden alliances and simmering resentment. Christine's voice rises, recalling words she wishes she could forget. Meri closes her eyes, fighting back tears. Janelle exhales through gritted teeth, and Robyn shifts in her seat, heart racing, while the courtroom collectively leans forward, drawn into the human drama playing out before them, because this is more than legal proceedings. It is the unraveling of a family's trust, and every revelation feels like a hammer striking at the foundation of years spent together. The session escalates as a new witness is called, a former assistant with intimate knowledge of family finances, who meticulously details patterns of unrecorded transactions, unexplained withdrawals, and moments where certain members were given authority without consensus, painting a picture of favoritism and secrecy. And as she speaks, the camera captures reactions in exquisite detail. Christine's lips press into a thin line, eyes glinting with anger and hurt. Meri trembles slightly, tears welling up as past frustrations replay. Janelle's hands clench under the table, the veins on her neck taut. Robyn bites her lip, heart pounding, realizing the truth may be more complex than she imagined. And Kody's eyes flicker nervously, his composure tested as the mounting evidence threatens to overwhelm any explanation he might offer. Tension reaches a crescendo when an audio recording is played, capturing heated private conversations, voices raised in anger, accusations flung, promises broken, and intentions revealed, leaving the courtroom in stunned silence, the gravity of the disclosures hanging in the air like a storm cloud. And you might think this session can't possibly escalate further, but the next revelation exposes a betrayal that not only challenges Kody's leadership, but shakes the very structure of the family, leaving everyone, wives, lawyers, judge, and viewers alike, in utter disbelief. Kody rises, voice steady but edged with desperation, attempting to explain context, defend actions, and convey intentions, while Christine interrupts with a sharp, cutting question, demanding clarity, her words slicing through the tense air. Meri pleads softly for understanding, her voice cracking with emotion. Janelle counters with logical arguments, sharp and controlled. Robyn struggles to maintain her composure, torn between loyalty and the undeniable evidence. And the courtroom becomes a theater of raw emotion, a battle of truth, perception, and morality. The cross-examination dives deeper. Emails and messages laid bare, showing patterns of exclusion, private decision-making, and moments when promises to include all wives were broken, creating rifts and igniting old resentments. And the emotional intensity rises as each wife reacts in her own way. Christine, with fury and hurt, Meri with quiet anguish, Janelle with simmering tension, Robyn with conflicted loyalty, and Kody with mounting stress. Every facial expression, every gesture, every word magnified under the scrutiny of the court and the cameras capturing history in real time. Then comes the turning point. A confidential document, previously undisclosed, surfaces, hinting at secret agreements and hidden priorities, revealing that some wives were given advantages in decision-making, creating an uneven power dynamic. And as the judge reads it aloud, a hush falls. Christine gasps. Meri closes her eyes. Janelle's hands tighten. Robyn's throat constricts. And Kody's face flushes. The room frozen in disbelief, while the retention booster hits. Just wait until the next testimony, because the secrets being exposed will redefine everything you thought you knew about this family, and the emotional fallout will leave you speechless. /paragraph_. The session continues with back-and-forth arguments, testimonies, and cross-examinations. The courtroom a whirlwind of emotion, tension, and suspense, every moment loaded with potential revelation. And the wives' interactions reveal years of frustration, hidden resentment, and loyalty tested to its limits. Christine challenging Kody with piercing questions, Meri quietly voicing her fears and hurt, Janelle demanding transparency and fairness, Robyn trying to navigate her conflicting feelings, and Kody attempting to hold the family together while defending himself, knowing that every statement will be dissected, every reaction judged, and every action scrutinized. The emotional beats are relentless, alternating between heated confrontation and quiet reflection, exposing vulnerabilities and truths that have long been buried. And just as the session nears its conclusion, a final piece of evidence is introduced, a ledger containing detailed accounts of private transfers and transactions, contradicting previous statements and suggesting intentional deception, causing the courtroom to erupt into whispers, the wives exchanging glances of shock and hurt, Kody shifting uncomfortably, swallowing hard, while the judge leans forward, expression unreadable, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats, desperate to see how the family will navigate the betrayal and whether trust can survive the storm that has only just begun. And as the gavel strikes to adjourn, the camera lingers on the wives' faces, Kody's tense posture, the unresolved tension in the room, and the unspoken question that hangs in the air: can this family endure the unraveling of secrets, lies, and manipulations? Or will the courtroom proceedings mark the beginning of an irreversible fracture in the bonds that have long held them together? The courtroom opens with a tense stillness, heavier than ever, as Kody Brown steps forward, the weight of the previous sessions pressing on his shoulders. His jaw tight, eyes scanning the room for familiar faces, while Meri walks behind him, hands clasped tightly, a tremor of anticipation coursing through her, knowing that today could be the day where secrets long buried finally come to light. Christine enters with purposeful steps, her face a mask of composure that barely conceals the fury and hurt simmering beneath the surface, while Janelle takes her seat with rigid posture, every muscle coiled like a spring, prepared for the emotional whirlwind she knows is coming. And Robyn flips through her notes, hands shaking slightly, trying to stay focused amidst the storm of evidence, accusations, and betrayals that have already unfolded. Because the Brown family has now reached a tipping point where every word spoken could shift the balance, and the stakes have never been higher. The judge enters with a solemn expression, gavel in hand, calling the session to order with a resounding strike, and immediately the first witness, a former family advisor, is called, her presence commanding attention as she rises, carefully holding a folder of documents, her hands steady but eyes betraying the anxiety of revealing truths that will shake the very core of the family. And the courtroom collectively leans in, sensing the gravity of the moment. Because what she is about to disclose will not just illuminate past decisions, but expose the fractures, resentments, and hidden tensions that have been simmering beneath the surface for years. She begins recounting conversations overheard, moments of manipulation, and instances where Kody allegedly encouraged certain wives to comply with financial and family decisions without full disclosure, creating divisions and fostering mistrust. And as her voice carries through the room, Christine's jaw tightens, eyes blazing with anger and disbelief. Meri swallows hard, fighting to hold back tears. Janelle's hands clench into fists under the table, veins standing out along her neck, and Robyn's lips press tightly together, her mind racing to reconcile loyalty to Kody with the undeniable evidence now presented before everyone, while Kody himself shifts uncomfortably, trying to maintain composure under the scrutiny of the court and the thousands of viewers watching as every reaction is magnified. But you won't believe what happens next. A revelation that will completely turn the courtroom upside down is about to unfold, and it changes everything. The witness presents a series of emails and messages, carefully time-stamped, revealing that Kody had privately directed certain financial advantages to specific wives, while others were left uninformed, suggesting favoritism, manipulation, and a breach of trust. And as the documents are read aloud, the reactions are visceral. Christine's hand flies to her forehead. Meri bites her lip to contain the sob threatening to escape. Janelle leans forward, voice tight with frustration. Robyn swallows hard, heart pounding, and Kody's expression hardens, the lines on his face deepening as he realizes the gravity of the situation, knowing that explanations alone may not suffice to repair the damage, while the gallery gasps and murmurs, captivated by the unfolding drama. Because this is not just a legal battle. It is a raw exposure of family dynamics, loyalties, and secrets that have long been hidden from public view. Tension escalates further when the witness recounts a private meeting where arguments erupted, voices raised, and accusations thrown. Moments where the wives' trust was broken. And the narrative is so vivid that the audience can feel the intensity, the heat of anger, the sting of betrayal, and the suffocating weight of disappointment. End of period. Christine's tone, sharp and cutting. I cannot believe you thought this was acceptable. Meri whispering with trembling lips. I trusted you with everything. Janelle's hands drumming against the table, frustration radiating in every movement, and Robyn's voice breaking slightly as she says, I thought I understood, but now I don't know what's real. While Kody attempts to respond, words carefully chosen, trying to frame intentions as misunderstood. Yet the evidence and emotions in the room make every defense seem tenuous, strained, and almost futile. The cross-examination intensifies. Questions become sharper, evidence more damning. Emails and documents reveal a pattern of partial disclosure, unrecorded transactions, and hidden decision-making. And the atmosphere in the courtroom becomes almost electric, each revelation landing like a hammer blow. Christine's eyes glistening with unshed tears, Meri's hands twisting in her lap, Janelle's posture rigid with tension, Robyn biting her lip to stay composed, and Kody shifting uneasily, aware that every movement, every gesture, is being scrutinized and interpreted. Because the narrative is no longer just about finances, it is about trust, betrayal, love, and the very foundation of the family's relationships. Then a new witness is called, a former assistant who worked closely with Kody, providing intimate knowledge of the family's private conversations and actions. And as she recounts hidden meetings, directives, and moments of exclusion, the courtroom collectively reacts. Christine leans forward, voice cutting as she challenges Kody. Meri's breathing quickens, eyes brimming with emotion. Janelle's hands clench into fists. Robyn swallows hard, and Kody feels the weight of years of hidden decisions pressing down upon him, while the opposing counsel methodically presents evidence that contradicts Kody's statements, revealing moments where promises of transparency were not kept, favoritism was applied, and emotional manipulation occurred. Each piece of evidence layering upon the previous, creating a compelling, almost cinematic tension. And just when you think the drama has reached its peak, a shocking audio recording is played, capturing heated conversations, accusations, and admissions that no one expected to hear, leaving the courtroom and viewers alike stunned, hearts racing, desperate to know how this will all resolve. Kody rises to address the explosive recording, voice steady but edged with desperation, attempting to contextualize each word, explain each action, and convey that intentions were never malicious. Yet Christine interrupts with a sharp, cutting question, demanding clarity. Meri whispers with trembling voice, "I need the truth." Janelle interjects with logic and reasoning. Robyn struggles to maintain composure while reconciling her loyalty with the evidence, and the courtroom becomes a theater of human emotion, raw and gripping, alternating between heated confrontation and quiet reflection, revealing vulnerabilities, fears, and conflicts that have simmered for years. The witness continues, presenting further evidence of unequal decision-making, unrecorded transfers, and moments where certain family members were excluded from discussions, creating both financial and emotional fractures. And as each detail is revealed, the wives' reactions are immediate and visceral. Christine with anger and disbelief, Meri with quiet anguish, Janelle with controlled frustration, Robyn with conflicted emotions, and Kody with growing tension. Each movement, glance, and word carrying immense weight, and just when the session seems to reach an emotional peak, another revelation surfaces. A private message indicating a deliberate decision to manipulate trust, leaving the family and viewers questioning everything, and setting the stage for confrontations that will redefine their relationships forever. The tension continues to rise as testimony shifts to more personal dynamics, highlighting not just financial but emotional manipulation, moments of favoritism, and decisions that caused hurt and resentment. The audience captivated by the intricate web of relationships, hidden agendas, and vulnerabilities exposed. Christine confronting Kody with raw emotion, Meri pleading softly for understanding, Janelle demanding accountability. Robyn struggling to reconcile love and loyalty with evidence, and Kody attempting to navigate the storm of accusations, testimony, and public scrutiny. The courtroom transformed into a crucible of truth and emotion, every word, glance, and gesture magnified. As the session nears its conclusion and the final moments reveal, a ledger meticulously detailing transfers and decisions that contradict previous statements, leaving the wives stunned, Kody tense, the judge solemn, and viewers on edge, because the revelations don't just challenge finances, they shake the very foundation of trust, love, and family bonds, leaving everyone desperate to know what will happen next, and if the Brown family can survive the unfolding storm. Bracket, NP Pram Pi, Stain. The courtroom opens with a charged silence, thick with tension, as Kody Brown steps forward, shoulders tense, jaw tight, every movement betraying the weight of scrutiny that has only intensified over the last sessions, while Meri follows behind, hands twisting nervously in her lap, eyes darting to the gallery filled with cameras and spectators, her mind racing with memories of private conversations and decisions that now feel exposed and perilous. Christine enters with a purposeful stride, her face carefully controlled but eyes blazing with a storm of hurt, anger, and disbelief, while Janelle sits rigidly, muscles coiled, every fiber of her being bracing for what she knows will be a cascade of emotional confrontation. And Robyn sits with notebook in hand, pen poised, her breathing uneven as she tries to process the layers of betrayal, secrecy, and manipulation now surfacing, realizing that today's testimony may irreversibly alter the family dynamic, because the issues now being explored are no longer just financial. They cut to the very heart of trust, loyalty, and emotional bonds within the Brown family. The judge enters, gavel in hand, his eyes scanning the room with an intensity that mirrors the growing anxiety among those present. And immediately, the first witness is called, a former family confidant who has been privy to private conversations, hidden agreements, and subtle manipulations. And as she rises, holding a folder thick with evidence, her calm voice belies the gravity of what she is about to reveal, and the courtroom collectively leans forward, sensing that the revelations will not only challenge Kody's authority, but also expose the raw emotional fractures within the family that have been carefully concealed for years. She begins by recounting moments where Kody allegedly encouraged certain wives to approve financial and personal decisions without full disclosure to the others, creating tension, resentment, and subtle rivalries. And as her words echo through the room, Christine's jaw tightens, eyes narrowing with anger and disbelief. Meri bites her lip, fighting back tears. Janelle's hands clench under the table, veins standing out on her neck. Robyn's fingers tremble as she grips her notes, heart pounding, and Kody's eyes flicker nervously, the weight of accumulated scrutiny pressing down, because every document, every story, every recollection is now being dissected, analyzed, and judged, the consequences reverberating beyond the courtroom into the very foundation of the family's relationships. Tension escalates as the witness produces emails, text messages, and handwritten notes detailing private discussions, subtle coercions, and decisions made without transparency, revealing patterns that suggest favoritism, manipulation, and intentional exclusion. And as the contents are read aloud, the courtroom reacts instantly. Christine's face flushes with anger, her voice rising. "I can't believe you would make decisions like this without consulting all of us." Meri swallows hard, whispering, "I trusted you with everything," her words barely audible, but heavy with emotion. Janelle leans forward, fists clenched, exhaling sharply. Robyn shifts uncomfortably, grappling with conflicting loyalty and shock. And Kody sits rigid, the tension in his body mirrored by the weight of the accusations now leveled before him. While you won't believe the next revelation, it will shake the family to its core and leave viewers on the edge of their seats. A witness then recounts a specific meeting where arguments erupted, voices were raised, and feelings of betrayal boiled to the surface. Moments that the wives had long hoped would remain private, but are now laid bare. Christine's eyes glisten with unshed tears. Meri's lips tremble as she recalls past frustrations. Janelle's hands drum on the table with restrained fury. Robyn swallows hard, and Kody exhales slowly, aware that the emotional weight of these revelations may be as damaging as any legal ruling. The cross-examination intensifies, questions sharpen, and the opposing counsel systematically presents evidence that highlights patterns of unequal decision-making, partial disclosure, and moments of subtle coercion, forcing the family members to confront not only the facts, but the emotional impact of choices that have been kept hidden for years. And as each point is laid bare, Christine challenges Kody directly, voice laced with hurt. How could you make these choices without telling me? How could you expect loyalty after secrecy? Meri's quiet anguish is palpable, Janelle's frustration simmering beneath the surface, Robyn grappling with loyalty versus truth, and Kody struggles to defend his actions, framing intentions as misunderstood, yet fully aware that perception may outweigh explanation in the eyes of the court. The tension climbs further when a second witness, a former assistant who worked closely with Kody for years, steps forward, recounting overheard conversations, private directives, and moments where certain wives were subtly manipulated or favored, creating emotional fractures that run deep. And as her words unfold, the wives' reactions are immediate and raw. Christine rises, voice firm and cutting. Meri trembles slightly, eyes welling. Janelle's hands clench beneath the table. Robyn bites her lip, heart pounding, and Kody shifts uncomfortably, realizing that the testimony not only challenges his credibility, but exposes the emotional consequences of his decisions. While the courtroom hangs on every word, every pause, every subtle inflection, the tension almost unbearable. Then comes a pivotal moment. The assistant produces a recording of private discussions, voices raised in anger, accusations flung, promises broken, intentions revealed. Period. The audio played in the courtroom, causing a collective gasp. Eyes widen, hearts race, and every wife's face reflects the magnitude of the revelation. Christine's eyes burn with hurt and fury. Meri's hands shake. Janelle exhales sharply. Robyn struggles to maintain composure, and Kody's jaw tightens as the weight of truth bears down, knowing that the emotional fallout will be intense and public. And just when you think the drama cannot escalate further, a hidden message surfaces that unveils a betrayal no one saw coming, leaving the courtroom stunned, and every family member questioning loyalties, trust, and the future of their relationships. The cross-examination delves deeper, probing motivations, dissecting decisions, and revealing moments where Kody's guidance and authority may have crossed into manipulation, favoritism, or emotional coercion. The wives reacting viscerally, Christine challenging every assertion, Meri quietly expressing anguish, Janelle demanding clarity and fairness, Robyn internally conflicted but outwardly composed, and Kody attempting to hold the family together while defending himself. Knowing that every word, gesture, and expression is scrutinized under the unrelenting gaze of the court and the public. Tension peaks when another confidential document is introduced, a ledger of transfers, private communications, and notes revealing intentional exclusions, creating an undeniable narrative of partiality and hidden agendas. And as the judge reads aloud, a hush falls. Christine gasps. Meri closes her eyes. Janelle leans forward tensely. Robyn swallows hard, and Kody exhales sharply, aware that this evidence could redefine perceptions of honesty, trust, and leadership within the family. And the gallery murmurs in disbelief, captivated by the emotional and legal drama unfolding. Because this is no longer just about money. It is about power, loyalty, truth, and the very heart of familial bonds. Session continues with emotional testimony, confrontations, and moments of introspection, alternating between heated accusations and quiet reflection, highlighting vulnerabilities, regrets, and raw human emotion. And as the session nears its conclusion, the final revelation emerges, a private email chain indicating a deliberate attempt to manipulate trust and influence decision-making, causing faces to pale, jaws to tighten, hearts to race, and viewers to gasp, because the implications strike at the core of the family's integrity, relationships, and unity. And the emotional stakes have never been higher. leaving everyone desperate to see what will happen next and whether the Brown family can survive the unraveling storm that has consumed them. The gavel strikes to adjourn, but the tension remains, the wives exchanging glances laden with fear, hurt, and uncertainty. Kody's posture rigid with the burden of accountability, the judge contemplative, and the camera lingering on expressions that speak volumes about the battles of trust, betrayal, and love yet to come. Because the story is far from over, and the next session promises to delve even deeper into secrets, confrontations, and emotional revelations that will leave viewers on the edge of their seats, desperate for answers, unable to look away from the unfolding drama that threatens to change everything they thought they knew about the Brown family forever. The courtroom is charged with a heavy, almost electric tension as Kody Brown walks in, each step deliberate but weighed down by the knowledge that today's session may irreversibly alter the family's foundation. While Meri follows closely, hands clasped tightly, eyes flicking anxiously to the gallery, where cameras capture every micro-expression, every flicker of doubt or fear. And Christine enters with a composed but resolute air, her eyes narrowing as she anticipates the revelations that await. Janelle sits upright, muscles coiled like springs, prepared for confrontation. And Robyn opens her notebook with trembling hands, her mind racing through every previous testimony, every document, every whispered accusation, realizing that the emotional storm is about to reach its peak. Because the revelations of the last sessions have only scratched the surface of hidden tensions, unresolved conflicts, and suppressed grievances, the judge enters solemnly, gavel in hand, commanding immediate silence, and calls the session to order, signaling that the courtroom is about to witness testimonies and evidence of a magnitude that could redefine not just legal outcomes, but emotional bonds, trust, and authority within the Brown family. And immediately, the first witness, a longtime confidant with intimate knowledge of family dynamics, is called, her presence radiating calm authority. But her eyes betray the gravity of what she is about to reveal. And as she stands to testify, the room leans forward collectively, captivated by the anticipation of truths long concealed, now about to emerge. She begins recounting private conversations, subtle manipulations, and moments of exclusion, where certain wives were pressured to approve decisions without full disclosure, creating emotional fractures that have festered for years. And as the words hang in the air, the wives' reactions are visceral. Christine's jaw tightens, eyes flashing with anger and disbelief. Meri swallows hard, tears threatening to spill. Janelle's hands clench under the table. Robyn's fingers tremble, heart racing, and Kody shifts uneasily, acutely aware that every reaction, every glance, every word spoken is being recorded and scrutinized, while the gallery murmurs, the air thick with tension. Because this is no longer merely a legal proceeding, it is an unmasking of private life, secrets, and emotional truths that threaten to unravel the family. The witness presents emails, text messages, and documents, meticulously detailed, reviewing patterns of favoritism, exclusion, and private decision-making. And as each piece of evidence is read aloud, the wives' faces mirror shock, hurt, and disbelief. Christine's eyes burn with fury. Meri's lips tremble as she fights to remain composed. Janelle leans forward, fists clenched. Robyn swallows hard, reconciling loyalty with mounting evidence. And Kody's expression tightens, realizing that explanation alone may not suffice to mend the fractures now fully exposed. While you won't believe the next twist, a revelation is about to surface that will leave the courtroom gasping and viewers glued, questioning everything about trust and loyalty. A witness recounts a heated, private meeting where arguments escalated, voices were raised, accusations hurled, and long-held resentments erupted, each word echoing with emotional intensity. Christine cutting through with sharp questions. How could you exclude us from decisions that affect all of us? Meri whispering, voice trembling. I thought I understood. I thought I trusted. Janelle's posture rigid, jaw tight, hands clenched under the table. Robyn struggling to stay composed while her mind reels at the betrayal. And Kody attempts to defend his actions, voice steady but laced with vulnerability, trying to contextualize choices. Yet the testimony and evidence make his defense tenuous at best, the courtroom hanging on every syllable, because the stakes are no longer abstract, they are personal, emotional, and deeply human. The opposing counsel methodically presents a new witness, a former assistant with direct insight into family affairs, who details private conversations, directives, and actions that indicate intentional exclusion, emotional manipulation, and favoritism, causing a cascade of reactions across the room. Christine rising to confront, voice sharp and cutting. Meri trembling with quiet anguish. Janelle exhaling through clenched teeth. Robyn swallowing hard. And Kody's shoulders stiffening, knowing that the testimony may irreversibly shift perceptions, both legally and emotionally. And just when the tension seems unbearable, a hidden recording is introduced, capturing private discussions that no one expected to hear, revealing intentions, conflicts, and betrayals that upend everything previously believed about the family's dynamics, leaving viewers breathless and on the edge of their seats. Kody rises to respond, his voice steady but tinged with desperation, trying to explain context, clarify intent, and appeal to the emotional truth behind decisions, while Christine interrupts with pointed, piercing questions. Meri pleads softly, voice cracking. Janelle counters with logic and sharp reasoning. Robyn struggles to reconcile loyalty with undeniable evidence, and the courtroom becomes a theater of raw human emotion, alternating between confrontation and reflection, exposing vulnerabilities, regrets, and truths long buried. As the cross-examination deepens, emails and messages are dissected, revealing repeated patterns of exclusion, unequal access to information, and moments where trust was compromised, creating both financial and emotional fractures, and the wives' reactions are immediate and visceral. Christine cutting with anger and disbelief, Meri with quiet anguish, Janelle with simmering tension, Robyn conflicted yet composed, and Kody with rising stress. Every glance, gesture, and word magnified under the scrutiny of the court and the public, because the drama has escalated from facts and figures to raw human confrontation. The tension peaks as a confidential email chain is revealed, showing deliberate manipulation, prioritization of some over others, and intentional decisions designed to control outcomes, causing gasps and murmurs across the courtroom. The wives exchanging glances of shock and hurt, Kody's jaw tightening, the judge leaning forward with solemnity, and the gallery holding its collective breath, because the next revelation will shake the family to its core, exposing betrayal that challenges not only leadership and trust, but the very bonds of love and loyalty, leaving viewers desperate for resolution. A witness continues, recounting moments of subtle coercion, favoritism, and exclusion, creating a narrative that challenges Kody's credibility and the emotional foundation of the family. Christine confronting him with raw emotion, Meri quietly expressing hurt, Janelle demanding transparency, Robyn grappling with her conflicting feelings, and Kody struggling to defend his intentions while acknowledging the emotional toll of the revelations. And as the session progresses, another piece of evidence emerges, a ledger and series of private communications that expose previously hidden decisions, discrepancies, and manipulations, sending shockwaves through the room, faces blanching, jaws tightening, hearts racing, the courtroom awash in tension, disbelief, and mounting emotion, and the audience captivated by the unfolding storm. Because this is the point where secrets, lies, and manipulations collide, creating an emotional climax that leaves every character and viewer on the edge of their seat. S.// As the gavel nears adjournment, the wives exchange glances filled with fear, betrayal, and uncertainty. Kody's posture rigid with the weight of accountability. The judge, contemplative. Robyn's eyes wide as she anticipates the fallout. Meri trembling slightly. Christine's expression, a mixture of fury and hurt. Janelle's jaw tight, and the camera lingering on these expressions, capturing every flicker of doubt, every tremor of emotion, every unspoken question, because the story is far from over. And the next session will reveal further confrontations, emotional meltdowns, and critical decisions that will determine whether the Brown family can survive the unraveling chaos, leaving viewers desperate for the next installment, emotionally invested, and unable to look away from the courtroom drama that has reached a crescendo, where trust, betrayal, and the bonds of family hang by the thinnest of threads, promising twists and revelations that will change everything. The courtroom opens to a tense, almost suffocating silence, heavier than ever, as Kody Brown walks in, shoulders squared, but eyes shadowed with fatigue and worry, knowing that today's session may finally lay bare the full spectrum of truths, betrayals, and emotional fractures that have been simmering for years, while Meri follows closely, hands twisting nervously in her lap, trying to steady her racing heart as she braces for another wave of revelations that could change everything. Christine strides in with purposeful steps, her expression carefully composed, but her eyes flashing with a mix of hurt, anger, and determination. While Janelle sits upright, posture rigid, muscles coiled like springs, every nerve on edge, anticipating confrontations that could redefine relationships. And Robyn opens her notebook, pen poised but trembling slightly, her mind running through every previous testimony, every piece of evidence, every whispered accusation, realizing that the emotional storm is about to reach its peak, because the stakes today are not just legal, but profoundly personal, threatening to shatter trust, loyalty, and the bonds that have held the family together, even amidst past turbulence. The judge enters, gavel in hand, and calls the session to order, his presence commanding silence, signaling that what follows will be of extraordinary consequence. And immediately the first witness is called, a former family confidant, whose knowledge of private conversations, hidden agreements, and subtle manipulations spans years. And as she rises, holding a folder thick with evidence, her calm demeanor masks the emotional weight of what she is about to disclose. While the courtroom leans forward collectively, captivated by the anticipation of truths long concealed, now poised to emerge. Period. And she begins recounting private meetings where Kody allegedly pressured certain wives to approve decisions without full disclosure, detailing arguments, raised voices, tears, and moments where trust was compromised. And as her words hang in the charged air, the wives' reactions are immediate and raw. Christine's jaw tightens, eyes burning with disbelief and anger. Meri bites her lip, swallowing hard to hold back tears. Janelle's hands clench beneath the table, veins standing out along her neck. Robyn's fingers tremble as she grips her notes, heart pounding, and Kody shifts uneasily, acutely aware that every reaction, glance, and word is being scrutinized. amplified by the cameras and the weight of public attention. Because what is unfolding now transcends facts. It is a raw, emotional reckoning. The witness presents meticulously detailed emails, messages, and handwritten notes showing patterns of favoritism, exclusion, and hidden directives. And as the evidence is read aloud, Christine rises, voice sharp and cutting, demanding answers. How could you make these choices without consulting all of us? Meri whispers, trembling, I trusted you. I thought I knew everything. Janelle exhales through gritted teeth, hands clenched. Robyn bites her lip, heart racing. And Kody exhales slowly, recognizing that explanation alone may no longer repair the fractures now fully exposed. While just when you think the tension has reached its peak, a hidden recording is played, revealing a betrayal so profound that the courtroom gasps, and viewers are left holding their breath, desperate to see what happens next. The recording captures heated private conversations, accusations flung, promises broken, and intentions revealed, each word echoing with emotional intensity, causing a cascade of reactions across the room. Christine's eyes glisten with tears, voice trembling as she confronts Kody. Meri's hands shake, Janelle's jaw tightens. Robyn struggles to reconcile loyalty with evidence, and Kody's expression hardens, every line of his face etched with the burden of accountability, knowing that the session has entered a realm where emotional and legal stakes collide. The opposing counsel seizes the moment, presenting a former assistant as the next witness, who testifies to subtle manipulations, favoritism, and exclusionary actions that caused emotional and financial fractures, revealing a pattern of behavior that challenges Kody's credibility and the family's unity. While the wives' reactions intensify, Christine's tone sharp and cutting, Meri quietly pleading for understanding, Janelle demanding transparency, Robyn struggling to maintain composure, and Kody attempting to defend intentions while acknowledging emotional fallout, and the courtroom becomes a theater of raw emotion, alternating between heated confrontation and reflective pauses, exposing vulnerabilities, regrets, and truths long buried. Tension escalates further as confidential documents and ledger entries are introduced, detailing financial decisions, private communications, and hidden agreements, some contradicting previous statements, creating an undeniable narrative of partiality, favoritism, and emotional manipulation. And as the judge reads aloud, a hush falls. Christine gasps. Meri closes her eyes. Janelle leans forward tensely. Robyn swallows hard, and Kody exhales sharply, realizing the full implications of the evidence, while the gallery murmurs, captivated by the magnitude of what is unfolding, because the courtroom drama has evolved into a profound exploration of trust, betrayal, and the emotional cost of hidden decisions. The session shifts into high-stakes confrontation, with Christine directly challenging Kody about exclusions, favoritism, and broken promises, her voice cutting through the tension. Meri pleading softly, voice trembling, I need the truth, Kody. Janelle demanding clarity and accountability. Robyn internally conflicted, but outwardly composed. And Kody navigating a labyrinth of emotional defenses, explanations, and appeals to intention. While the opposing counsel methodically presents contradictions, inconsistencies, and evidence of deliberate deception, forcing each family member to confront not just the facts, but the emotional consequences of long-held secrets. And as the drama reaches its climax, a shocking new revelation emerges, a previously undisclosed agreement indicating intentional manipulation of trust and influence, leaving everyone in stunned silence, hearts racing. The tension nearly unbearable, and viewers on the edge of their seats, desperate to see the fallout. The courtroom reacts in waves. Christine's eyes widen with fury and hurt. Meri's lips tremble as tears threaten to fall. Janelle exhales sharply. Robyn struggles to reconcile love with evidence, and Kody's face hardens, shoulders tense, knowing that the revelation could irrevocably alter perceptions of leadership, loyalty, and trust. While the judge calls for a brief recess to allow emotions to settle, the air thick with unresolved tension, whispered speculation, and the unspoken question of whether the Brown family can survive the unraveling storm. After the recess, the session resumes with emotional testimonies, confrontations, and reflective moments, highlighting the depth of hurt, betrayal, and fractured loyalty as the family navigates an intricate web of truths, conflicting narratives, and personal anguish. Christine confronting Kody with raw emotion, Meri voicing quiet anguish, Janelle demanding transparency and fairness, Robyn internally conflicted yet externally composed, and Kody attempting to maintain composure while responding to each accusation with measured explanation, knowing that every word is under scrutiny and every gesture interpreted as guilt or sincerity. The emotional beats are relentless, alternating between intense confrontation and quieter introspection, revealing vulnerabilities, regrets, and suppressed truths. And as the session approaches its conclusion, the final piece of evidence is presented. A ledger containing meticulously detailed records of decisions, transfers, and communications, exposing discrepancies, favoritism, and intentional exclusion, leaving the wives stunned, Kody tense, the judge contemplative, and viewers on edge. Because the revelations not only challenge financial accountability, but strike at the core of trust, love, and family bonds, leaving everyone desperate to know what will happen next and whether the Brown family can endure the emotional storm that has engulfed them. The gavel strikes, signaling the adjournment, yet the tension remains. The wives exchanging glances filled with hurt, fear, and uncertainty. Kody's posture rigid under the weight of responsibility. Robyn's eyes wide, anticipating the consequences. Meri trembling slightly. Christine's expression, a volatile mix of fury and sorrow. Janelle's jaw tight with resolve, and the camera lingers on each face, capturing fleeting emotions, unspoken questions, and the charged atmosphere that promises further drama, because the story is far from over, and viewers are left in suspense, emotionally invested, and desperate for the final answers, realizing that in this courtroom, trust, betrayal, and the bonds of family hang by the thinnest thread. And even after the gavel falls, the consequences will ripple through their lives, shaping relationships, decisions, and futures, leaving the audience with a powerful question. Can the Brown family survive the unraveling of secrets and rebuild the trust that has been shattered? Or will the court proceedings mark the point of no return, changing everything forever?